So we definitely have a few creepy things to talk about today. Like, for example, what happened over in Alaska doesn't really seem like news is talking about it. And we have a very bizarre update to one of the missing scientists. But first, this is Nightmare Fuel. So yeah, Elon Musk head on a robotic dog's body just wandering in public, very reminiscent to that scene in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But what's even creepier is that back in 2005 there was an art display that had shown other billionaire heads on top of robotic dog bodies.
I get this.
But moving on, it seems like we have a very bizarre update to one of the missing scientists. That missing scientist being Monica Reza. Now, Monica Reza, she was a director for NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratories Materials and Processing. The missing general, William McCaslin, he oversaw her work. Now, unlike all the other missing scientists, Monica Reza's case is actually a little different. Not only was she the only one to have her cell phone on her, but she disappeared while she was with other people. So apparently, and this is coming from Los Angeles Magazine, Reza participated in a yoga group, and they state they knew nothing of her work working with NASA. On the day she went missing, she was hiking with a male and female companion from her yoga group, where she was reportedly training to be an instructor within this yoga studio that, according to this magazine and the source, was not a typical one. According to the source, it incorporates not only yoga, but also astrology and Vedic sciences. The studio apparently blends physical yoga practice with spiritual and philosophical elements, including astrology and traditional Vedic teachings from ancient India. So given the fact that this yoga studio was heavy into science and astrology, and she was wanting to become an instructor here, I highly doubt that she would leave out the fact that she was once a NASA scientist and director, but that's just my own opinion anyway. But this becomes even more bizarre because the source, which I'm guessing was the female hiking companion, revealed that when they were hiking, Reza and her male companion, Ali, began running on the terrain, which is not common given how steep and uneven it is. More so on the downhill sections, the source described this as unusual. This would not be a place to go running even as a skilled hiker, and you also have to remember too, I believe Monica Reza was in her 60s. Not saying that a 6-year-old can't do it, I'm just saying the older we become, more than likely the more careful we are when it comes to certain terrain. Especially given the fact of how this downhill section is being described. All the pictures I provided are of this forest, but this is exactly where they were hiking. The magazine goes on to say that the male companion confirmed Reza was behind him, reportedly running. When he eventually called out to her and received no response, he later showed others the location where he last saw her. The source noted that from that spot, the road was both visible and audible, suggesting Reza was relatively close to a more accessible area when she disappeared. So this is weird because apparently it comes off that the source saw Reza and the male companion running, so why didn't the source ask them why they were running? Or had at least asked the male companion why he was running, right? I mean, it seems like the Ali running is the bigger focus of the update. Also, it doesn't sound like Reza was too far from her hiking companions, and she vanished without a sound. What is also interesting to note too is that a neighbor later posted on the Crescenta Valley Sheriff Station Facebook page. What we know is that she went hiking with her yoga group friends, and her car was parked at one of their houses, so she would have to rely on them for transport. Now, they were hiking in California's Angeles National Forest, and those that were with her knew she had her phone on her, and when they asked the authorities to ping her location through her device, they did not respond to that request. But here's what's even more bizarre when it comes to Monica Reza. Now, 4 days after she went missing, and again, nobody knows what happened to her, somebody on the Find a Grave website had created a memorial to her, alleging that Reza was given a green burial, meaning a body would have needed to be found placed in a biodegradable container and put straight into the earth. Then after this was noticed, the page was mysteriously taken down. The authorities behind this case, they're not taking this page seriously, nor are they taking any of her cell phone information, her data, the forensics, seriously as well. They are very hush-hush about it. Just a very bizarre update to a very strange case. Now, I have been saying ever since I've been talking about these missing scientists that this is going to play a role into this whole alien and UFO agenda, and it seems like it's heading that way with this other update that has come out. About 3 or 4 of the missing or deceased scientists either work or have connections to this laboratory in New Mexico called Los Alamos National Laboratory. Just look at this update from the Daily Mail involving this laboratory. Deceased Los Alamos chief's secret UFO files revealed in stunning drop, quoting 100% proof. A senior cybersecurity official at one of America's most secretive nuclear laboratories left behind files after he passed away. Then insider has claimed revealed the United States government has long been studying UFOs. Apparently, these are the files that show some of the UFOs and materials. Some of the drawings even look like drawings that General William McCaslin had made on his X account before he went missing. But given the timing between this reveal and the laboratory where a few of these missing scientists had worked, it's very obvious where the script is going. What's very interesting is that as I was making this video and finishing up, another news article came out that reinforces this theory even further. These strange cluster of lights was seen and filmed above Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, the same Air Force Base that General William McCaslin had oversaw. Reports describe the sighting as having no sound, no standard navigation lights, movement unlike any known aircraft, drone swarm, or satellite. And to me anyway, they kind of remind me of plasmoids, and I had spoken about that in a previous video where scientists were working on plasmoids, and a lot of these scientists that have gone missing are indeed dealing heavy with plasma. I do have a video coming out on Sunday on my other channel, Minutes of Horror, where General McCaslin actually spoke about a demon that was his own words, and it really creeped me out. Again, I'll be talking about that on Sunday on my other channel, Minutes of Horror. But outside the missing scientist, another individual I think about quite often who may or may not be missing right now is this individual right here, 19-year-old Ethan Guo. Ethan took his plane and was going to fly over all 7 continents. Once he landed in Antarctica, he was stopped and arrested by the Chilean government. They accused him of providing false flight information and landing without authorization. He disputed this, but this left him stranded for over 2 months. Prior to this, Ethan was very active on social media, extremely active, yet when he was supposedly released, he never made any videos or posts on social media saying he was released. This information came from another person on social media who had stated he had supposedly spoken to Ethan over the phone. These were Ethan's final ex-posts. The case has been dropped, not guilty. Look at the court documents. I literally had approval to land in Antarctica. Then he said, I'm still stuck in Antarctica. They are not letting me fly out, even though the case has been closed and charges dropped. His final post on August 13th, although I'm still stuck in Antarctica, the fight against cancer isn't over. This is why he was flying across all 7 continents, was to raise awareness against cancer. Please support and donate fightagainstcancer.com. Let's reach $1 million together. That was it. He was also active on Instagram as well, but his very last post was just right before he was detained in Antarctica. Matter of fact, even strange enough, he has not been promoting his Fight Against Cancer website, which so far has raised over $100,000. Even if he isn't flying anymore, he could still find other ways to promote that. The only news update we had ever received in regards to Ethan was back on February of 2026, where apparently back in September of 2025, he was waiting in Punta Arenas to be reunited with his plane, where apparently his plane was released on February of 2026.
After spending almost 230 days on the White Continent, the plane of young American pilot Yilang Wu arrived in Punta Arenas this Thursday. The Cessna Skyline aircraft, which took off from King George Island, landed at the Presidente Carlos Ibanez Airport around 2 p.m. On its way to Continental Chile, the plane was escorted by a Twin Otter aircraft from the Air Force. The General Directorate of Civil Aeronautics reported that both about the person in charge of the aircraft and the Chilean pilot who made the flight proved that they complied with the regulatory requirements which allowed the trip to be authorized.
Since Ethan has gone radio silent, if he's even still with us, that begs the question, what did he see over in Antarctica? But moving on, I do want to go ahead and talk about this. because I have made a few videos on this channel about how Soylent Green is people. And I think over time, more and more people are accepting that fact, especially when it comes to the fast food industry, that people are food. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read a news headline, and this is coming directly from CNN, and after I read it, I do want to go ahead and know what you all think in the comments section below. This was published on April 14th, and it reads, "Ultra-processed foods are turning human thighs into well-marbled steaks." And we have been seeing this really ramp up over time, these innuendos involving humans being food. Like, for example, the KFC commercial where a human was turned into a giant chicken tender. This is the photo being passed around by multiple news agencies. Apparently, it's an MRI scan of a woman's thighs, what they want us to believe anyway. And it goes on to say the image looks like a slice of highly marbled flesh, reminiscent of a high-end steak with abundant fine-grained streaks of fat. But that's not dinner, it's an MRI scan of a thigh of a 62-year-old woman who obtained 87% of her annual calories from ultra-processed foods. Even though multiple news agencies are passing around that this photo is the real MRI scan, something about it still screams to me that it's fake, and they're using this to once again want us to find human meat delicious, for human meat to look delicious and appetizing. Because it's not like there's a lack of cows, chickens, and other farm animals, and yes, we do know that they do want to get rid of the farmlands, but at the end of the day, in my own opinion anyway, they just want us to join in this ritual with them of eating people. The article goes on to tell us how to get these marbled steak thighs. You have to devour ultra-processed foods like cookies, chips, sodas. And maybe this is why the American diet is the way it is, and why these ultra-processed foods are pushed on us the way they are to make us more delicious and juicy for them. Now, to be fair, the article does end with them telling us how to add more muscle to our thighs, but still, it's a very weirdly worded article, and I'm not buying this MRI photo. It just feels like truth in plain sight. So I came across something pretty weird as I was going down the rabbit hole of human meat. I noticed that back in 2017, for whatever reason, there was an explosion of news articles from different news agencies trying to normalize eating humans. For example, this article from PBS, if you had to eat a human, which body part should you pick first? And then it goes on to say, with 650 muscles and 206 bones in an adult, there are more than enough options on the menu. Vice.com on June 2017, why you should skip the brain if you eat your friends. And oddly enough, they even compare human meat to that of a pig and say that both species are omnivores and eat similar diet. You see how they're trying to sell it? From SciTech.org, is it really bad to eat people? Eating other humans is an ultimate taboo, but is it really that bad? Is it unnatural? Not at all. From the Smithsonian on April 2017, new study fleshes out the nutritional value of human meat. The caloric value of the human body is surprisingly low compared to other prehistoric food options. Oh, and look at this one from Wired.com on October 2017. What's wrong with eating people? You could soon be dining on lab-grown celebrity canopies and lightly seasoned chunks of your loved ones. So yeah, it really was and still is for the most part shoved into our faces. But moving on, what happened over in Alaska? This video comes from Meat Base 7.
So we had a major explosion last night that rocked the Mat-Su Valley up here in Alaska. So basic location is Wasilla. We got reports that it was felt as far away as Wasilla Fishhook to the Willow side of Hatcher Pass. Now that's a pretty big area, and to me, I was in bed and it felt like the blast came from the south because it was pushing the house kind of northward, and it was a very large concussion. I mean, it set off car alarms everywhere. The entire neighborhood was wide awake when it happened. I mean, anybody in the general area was. But here's the kicker. I mean, we're in the next day. I expected to see something more online about this explosion. We're not sure what it was. I mean, it kind of sounded like an artillery shell at first. Could have been a sonic boom. There's some rumors floating around about meteors and asteroids, that there's an asteroid shower going on. Now, about a week ago, our local military posted that there's going to be a lot more excessive noise. So my mom suggested, well, it could have been a sonic boom from an airplane. But here's the thing, we don't know. When we went outside to investigate a little bit, we heard neighbors all across the neighborhood just shouting and yelling, checking on everybody, making sure they were okay. Mainly the curiosity about, like, hey, what the heck was that? Because it was pretty dramatic. I mean, my children said their hairs were standing up on end because they'd never really experienced a concussion like that before, and it was pretty big. And I've been around some big booms before and some big explosions, and I was kind of surprised that there was no vapor trail in the sky. There were small aircraft flying around above our heads, and I didn't hear any reports of anybody, reporting sightings of a meteor or asteroid coming inbound. And that happens up here in Alaska. I've seen them all the time on the Dalton Highway, where some of the meteor that came across and struck Russia somewhere in an industrial area, we got to see that. It was a smoldering ball, but it left a vapor trail. And all the other meteors that I've seen that actually hit the ground leave some sort of trail in the sky. I didn't see any of that. It was clear. It was clear skies. But we are in a wooded area, so I can't see 100% of the sky. So I got to figure that in. But yeah, did you feel anything if you live in the Mat-Su Valley? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people did feel this, and they're still asking questions like, what the heck was it? Was it a meth lab? I don't know. Kind of thought it was a propane explosion or a fuel tank.
Even though a lot of people reported experiencing this in Alaska, news has been radio silent on this very loud, mysterious explosion that set off car alarms. A lot of people felt it, houses were shaking. And the thing is, I'm from a location where there are a lot of sonic booms, and anytime one is that loud, we would always hear in the news the source of that sonic boom. The same thing happened in New Jersey and Nebraska on the exact same day as that supposed 7-ton asteroid that flew over Ohio. People heard this loud noise, houses were shaking, they thought trees were falling on their property. They thought it was tied to the asteroid, but come to find out, both these states had this event 4 hours after the asteroid had appeared over Ohio. More and more states are hearing and feeling these loud, mysterious booms, and nobody has any explanations whatsoever, and it's just left that way.
Ever found proof of something and you can't do anything about it because you realize the cops are in on it? Because I know I tell you guys a lot of stories about things that happened to me out in the woods and in Appalachia and all that, but this happened to me in Florida when I was hopping freight trains. You see where this is going? So this took place back in 2017 when I decided to hike the Appalachian Mountains, and then I left and I started hopping freight trains because the forest fires kicked us off the trail. Just want to start this off with all the stories that you'll be hearing about these freight train yards and these, like trafficking issues. They are 100% real. It was me, my buddy Alex, and 2 other freight train hoppers. I specifically remember that when we first started doing this, the freight train hopper Will, he's experienced, he's been doing it for years, so he told me that if you want to do this, you need to be willing to withstand the things you're going to see and hear. Me thinking he was exaggerating until we ended up landing in Atlanta, Georgia. First freight train hop ended up going from Riviera Beach, Florida, up to Jacksonville, and then up to Atlanta, Georgia. Specifically remember when the train came to a halt, he was like, okay, everybody find a hole in the fence so we can get out of here. Well, knowing that there was cops in the yard somewhere, we were slowly creeping along these freights, and I specifically remember I came across this one freight, and I swear to God, this is what I heard on the side of the freight. It was like, the scary thing is it sounded very muffled. So me being me, I put my ear up to the freight like this, and like, I swear you could literally hear little kids like crying inside. I remember grabbing Will and saying, dude, we got to do something. We got to say something. And then he grabbed me by my shoulders and he shook me and said, do you want to get in your face? I said, what are you talking about getting in the face? There's cops over there. We can go right to there. And then that's when he looked at me and he was like, would you keep your mouth shut if someone gave you $250,000? And him having all these years of hopping freight trains, I knew I could trust him. That was the moment that I realized that they really are in on this. And we would have ended up getting arrested before we could have helped save anybody. Which, by the way, is probably the reason they seen us walking out and just let us go. Because down in Florida, to get caught hopping freight trains, it's a felony. So the fact that they just let us walk out, they knew we saw something. I am forever scarred. I will never be able to get those kids' cries out of my head.
That video came from Jaybird93, and not for nothing, even before watching her video, in Florida, every time I do see one of these freight trains go by, I do get like the weirdest, strangest feeling, like something's not right about them, like that in your gut type of feeling, and hearing her story really makes you wonder.
And have you ever wondered why we had so many insane asylums back in the day? I have, and I don't think it's because we were overwhelmed with insane people. I think it's because of something else entirely. Look at these magnificent buildings that the insane asylums were all around the world. This is the Napa, California Insane Asylum, supposedly built in 1875 when the population was just 5,000 in Napa. So really, they needed this massive building for insane people? So were the insane asylums built because we were overwhelmed with insane people, or was it because the people who run the world needed to do a reset and they couldn't quite do that reset if there was people still around who remembered what the world was like before the reset? Here is an article about the treatment of lunatics, and it says, lunatics had their golden age before laws were made, when they wandered forth at large and were revered as saints or as partaking of something holy or divine. But with laws and civilization, their iron age began. And here's also some art from around that time frame depicting repopulation. I'm sure it's all just a joke and just a coincidence. I'm not saying there was a great reset, a repopulation event, or a timeline shift. I'm just saying there's some interesting things we didn't quite learn in history class. And maybe some of the people they locked up in these insane asylums weren't so crazy after all.
There is something interesting I do find about the 1800s, something they're not telling us, even right down to the Civil War. Out of the thousands of photos that were captured during the Civil War, even photos of soldiers, generals, you'll not find one single combat photo. And yes, what was up with all those marvelous insane asylums back then? They kind of give me that eerie vibe the same way data centers do today. With the sharp rise of insane asylums at the very start of the 1900s, what did they want people to forget when it came to the 1800s?
So back in 2022 of April, Chris from Urbex Hill, who's also an urban explorer, traversed around 10 miles of forest and then ended up at this entrance which led him through this really mysterious tunnel system. Well, after walking through these tunnels for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe even longer, he ended up at this area which seemed very foggy. And what this guy caught in that area, I mean, you guys have to, you have to see this for yourself. It's one of the most craziest things I've ever seen. And you know what? Have a watch and you tell me what the hell you think this may be. How crazy is that? Two of them, both with glowing eyes, what seems to be camouflaged suits. One of them even grabs the edge of the wall and like hangs. In the middle to get a better view of what he's looking at. Maybe looking at Chris, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was looking at Chris, but it's like, holy shit. What do you think? Aliens? I mean, what other explanation can there be besides that? Right? This dude is not the type to, do AI stuff and this dude is real deal. Trust me, this guy, he's from Cleveland, Ohio. He explores some of the most dangerous places. This dude got cojones, let me tell you. But seriously, what in the hell do you think those things are?
What's crazy about that video is that I remember this video. I do believe it was either before 2022 or even before 2020, but this video came out well before the AI that the public has today. You know how we blame every strange sighting on AI? Well, that type of AI did not exist back then, again, for the public. The theory back then is that he may have used CGI, but as this individual Johnny Spook says, he is indeed a well-known explorer and he's not been known to fake anything. The explorer that took this video footage was Urbex Hill.
Imagine being with your friends and then being photobombed by your mom. The only problem is your mother is no longer with you. This woman was out with her friends eating dinner at a restaurant when they decided to take a selfie. But it turns out there's one extra person in the photo. A figure stands behind these women. It looks like it has long blonde hair, but the face is distorted, like it's not fully visible yet. There's no real definition in her clothes or anything either, and she's just one solid gray color. Now, one woman in this photo recognized this immediately because it looks just like her mother, who had passed away several years before. But she carries her mother's ashes in a necklace locket, and she fully believes that her mother is with her wherever she goes. And this photo clarified that for her, that her mom is for sure with her wherever she goes. Would your mom photobomb you?
That video came from Whoa That's Strange, and you can definitely tell there's a person behind them, given the hair. Yeah, you can't really make out the face, but you can kind of see an elongated mouth. It is my own personal belief that when a person passes away, they go wherever they have to go in the afterlife and they can no longer come back here. And things around us masquerading as our relatives could be other entities trying to trick us. But again, that's just my opinion.
So do you believe the theory that you can see souls of individuals that have passed walking through cemeteries while driving a Tesla? And why do I ask that? Because a man driving his Tesla through a cemetery saw something incredibly shocking on his Tesla driving map. If you haven't seen this shocking video, take a look at this. Check this out. Look at that. There's nobody outside. He's in the cemetery. Look, no one's around. Look at the driving map.
I believe God is real. This is all proof to me.
Are those souls?
Look at this.
People walking through the cemetery that have passed?
Look at this. All people here. There's nobody here.
Unbelievable.
Crazy.
Who do you think these people are that the Tesla driving map picked up while this man was driving through the cemetery? So I guess my question to you is it a glitch in the Tesla driving map, or is it something else that we need to have explained to us?
That video came from the Jody69, and this has been something that's been going on for quite some time now involving Teslas seemingly picking up objects as people. If this was some kind of glitch or error, one would think that this would be patched by now. Maybe certain electronics do pick up spirits, and maybe these spirits or entities linger around high energy sites like graveyards and attach themselves to the relatives of the deceased.
We're going to talk about the spook lights, or what's also known as the ghost lights of Appalachia. Now, I have witnessed these things all across the country, not just there, just that area is known for them. And what this is just a light without a source, almost like a flashlight without a holder, okay? And they can appear in a few different ways. They can appear like literally a ball of light. They can appear to look like a flashlight, or they can appear as a light on a wall, but it doesn't give off any light, if that makes any sense, and I'll get to that in a minute. My personal experience, I shared a big video about this of I was hunting one time and it wasn't quite daylight yet, and it looked like there was a man with a flashlight or somebody with a flashlight in this one spot, and I watched it until daylight came, and when daylight came, that spot was over a cliff, and if I would have followed that light, I would have fallen off these rocks. And that's kind of one of the stories with the ghost light, is it's like almost like they're trying to lead you towards your own demise or lead you to get lost. There's a lot of theories. That's why a lot of children go missing in the woods, is they're following these lights, and the next thing they know, they're lost and they don't know where they're at. I'm going to tell you my dad's story with his ghost light, and this one's odd because it happens inside with a witness. Most ghost lights are seen alone. So my dad and my grandpa, this was back when my dad was younger, and him and his dad were watching a college basketball game one night, and they had all the lights off in the house. They just had the TV on. Well, the wall next to the TV, a perfect circle light just poof, right there on the wall, and it was flat surface, on the wall there. Now, my dad is sitting behind my grandpa, who is sitting in a recliner. My dad's sitting over on the couch, and apparently they both watched this light for like 10 to 15 seconds, and it kind of moved a little bit, not sporadic, not crazy, just kind of gradually moved around on this wall. But there was no source, there was no beam of light leading to it. It didn't shine or seem to reflect anything. It didn't glow or give off any light of its own. They said it was completely silent, and all of a sudden it just went away. It didn't fade out. It didn't, get smaller. It was gone, just like it had came. And my dad said, "Daddy, did you see that?" And apparently my grandpa jumped out of the recliner and he goes, "You mean you saw that too? I thought I was going crazy. I thought I had one too many drinks." And they both were so bothered by it that they tried to recreate how this light could have happened all night long. They got in their car, they drove by and made sure it wasn't like a headlight that could have gone through a window. They tried turning a flashlight on, because then what if there's an intruder in this house and that was some kind of flashlight? They tried every way under the sun, apparently, for the next few hours to try to recreate that, and they could not figure out how to recreate that light anywhere. Dad said nowhere even remotely the same as this. And over the years, I've been told that story a million times by my grandpa and by my dad, and that story has never changed. Like, it is, I fully believe they saw something on that wall, and I know what I saw when I was hunting. Would love to hear if you guys have any spook light stories of your own or ghost light stories of your own. We do a podcast now. It's called Matt from Nomads. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple. Go follow us over there. We're trying to add stories there every day. I hope you have a good time with it. Thank you all so much for all the support on these spooky, scary stories, and we'll keep them coming.
That video came from Nomad's Animal Encounters, and if I get it correctly, it sounds like he's talking about ball of lightning or balls of lightning, which are a real phenomena, and yet still to this day, even though scientists say they exist, they have absolutely no explanations for them, and they seem to move independently on their own as if they have some kind of sentience. While they're not fully understood, and you can look this up yourself, it is believed that there's some kind of plasma bubble, which leads me to believe that they may be some kind of plasmoids or living entity that can only form here for a certain amount of time. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.